production. The time is 6:15. Here is the news, edited by Anjana Thudangoda, read by Victor Raj. Here are the headlines of the local news. The President commends Seat Kalani Tyre celebrating 25 years of success. The Prime Minister says issues of ownership of land should be settled. Focus on including private sector proposals for budget, the economy in the budget. License of 5 distilleries suspended. Indian Finance Minister visits Indian investments in Sri Lanka's east. Foreign news, political violence in Bangladesh casts dark shadow over upcoming elections. Sports news, World Cup 2023, India was 352 for 6 at the end of 49th over. Kohli falls for 88. Shreyas scores 50. Local news in detail. President Ranil Wickremesinghe, in a momentous event marking 25 years of business excellence, praised Seat Kalani Tyres for its remarkable journey from a state-owned enterprise to a symbol of successful privatization. Addressing the audience at the celebration, President Wickremesinghe reminisced about the challenging birth of the Kalani Tyres and the pivotal role it played in Sri Lanka's history. The President Wickremesinghe stated Kalani Tyres was situated in the Kalani adjacent to Biagama, which falls within his electorate. When I assumed the role of the Minister of Industries, I recognized the need to close his facility. Kalani Tyres had earned its reputation. The Prime Minister, Dinesh Gunawardena, said that the issues with regard to the ownership of the land should be settled for the cultivation at the Vavuniya District Food Security Program held yesterday at the Vavuniya District Secretariat in conjunction with the New Village, New Country National Program. Speaking on this occasion, the Prime Minister further said that one of the issues prevailing in the Vavuniya district is the land issue. The second problem is the issues that have arisen for a long time due to conflict with the Forest Conservation Department and forest conservation rules and regulations. He further noted that he was materialistic in delivering Vavuniya water scheme as the Minister of Water Supply. One department after another came up with hurdles and did not give permission to start the water scheme. But somehow, provisions were allocated and it was managed to transport water through the forest and implement the project. Now water is brought through a pipeline laid through the jungle. This news comes to you from the Sri Lanka Broadcasting Corporation. Continuing with more local news, the license of 5 liquor manufacturing companies have been suspended due to failure to pay taxes in time. Accordingly, the distillery license of the Synergy Distillers Private Limited, Finland Distilleries Corporation Private Limited, Wayamba Distilleries, W.M. Mendes and Company Limited, and the Randenegala Distilleries Lanka Private Limited were suspended, the sources said. Finance Minister Nirmala Sitharaman today visited Sri Lanka's eastern port town of Trincomalee, where she opened a branch of the State Bank of India and appreciated its role in supporting corporates in international trade. Sitharaman, who is in the country on a 3-day visit, started her day by visiting the main Hindu temple in the multi-ethnic city to pay homage to it before opening the branch of the State Bank of India in Trincomalee. Sendil Thandaman, the governor of the Eastern Province, Gopal Bagley, India's High Commissioner to Sri Lanka, and Chairman SBI Dinesh Kahara were also present at the inauguration. Lanka Satasa has decided to reduce the prices of several essential food items, including milk powder. Accordingly, the price of a 400-gram packet of milk powder has been reduced by 22 rupees, bringing down its price to 948 rupees. The new price revision has come into effect from yesterday. Meanwhile, the price of 1 kilogram of green grams has been reduced by 77 rupees, while the chickpea price has been reduced by 9 rupees per kilogram. The new price of 1 kilogram of green grams is 998 rupees, and chickpeas remains at 540 rupees. That ends local news.
The main news story is brought to you by Sinhala Mahatmya.
President Ranil Wickremesinghe has announced his intention to prioritize the inclusion of proposals from the private sector in this year's budget and to separately examine related areas. He made these statements while attending a 2024 pre-budget discussion held at the Presidential Secretariat yesterday with the leaders of private sector institutes. During the meeting, the President discussed reform programs designed to help the country recover from the economic crisis it is currently facing and move towards sustainable growth. Leaders of private sector institutions presented proposals to the President, focusing on increasing government revenue and efficiency, as well as measures to support various industries, including attracting investors, the tourism industry and the garment industry. They also urged the President to prioritize measures aimed at overcoming the current economic crisis and addressing the challenges faced by the business people in various sectors in this year's budget. President Wickremesinghe expressed his commitment to careful consideration to the ideas and suggestions put forward by the leaders of the private sector institutions. He intends to conduct separate discussions on each of these areas in the future. The efforts made by President Ranil Wickremesinghe to achieve economic stability in the country were also commended by the leaders of the private institutions. That came to you on Main News Story.
The Main News Story was brought to you by Sinhala Mahatmya.
Moving on to Watchlight, the number of people infected with the HIV virus has increased. Accordingly, during this year, 485 HIV-infected people have been reported so far, and a total of 5,496 infected people have been reported. Last year, 425 infected people were reported. The director of the National STD and AIDS Control Program, Dr. Janaki Vidhanapathirana, said today that there is an increase in the number of people infected with AIDS compared to last year. That came to you on Watchlight. Moving on to world news, let's take a look at the headlines. Political violence in Bangladesh casts a dark shadow over upcoming elections. Air pollution sparks alarm, dims World Cup cheer in India. An earthquake causes minor damage in southeastern Indonesia. World news in detail. Weeks of mounting political tension have erupted into protests and bloodshed in Bangladesh, leaving the country on edge ahead of general elections due in January. Several senior opposition leaders were arrested last Sunday, a day after a massive rally against the government turned violent, resulting in the deaths of at least 2 opposition supporters. The rejuvenated main opposition Bangladesh Nationalist Party has intensified protests calling on Prime Minister Sheikh Hasina to resign. The BNP and its allies want a neutral interim government ahead of the general elections, arguing that free and fair polls are not possible under Ms. Hasina. The government led by her Awami League has rejected this demand. The BNP rally in the capital Dhaka attracted tens of thousands of people, one of the biggest gatherings seen here in a decade. Toxic haze blanketed New Delhi today, raising fears of another public health emergency in the Indian capital. as government agencies warned that pollution level could worsen over the next few days despite efforts to reduce them. Air quality index stood at 415 on the scale of 500 in the capital's Anand Vihar area on Thursday, indicating severe levels of pollution that can affect healthy people and those with existing ailments. AQI between 0 to 50 is considered healthy. An earthquake slightly damaged houses and other buildings in southeastern Indonesia early today, causing some panic, but no apparent casualties. The quake was strong, felt in several cities and villages, and caused some to panic, said Daryono, who is the head of the Earthquake and Tsunami Center at the Indonesia's Meteorology, Climatology and Geophysical Agency. It was based on land and had no risk of a tsunami. To wrap up the world news, let's take a look at the headlines once again. Political violence in Bangladesh casts dark shadow over upcoming elections. Air pollution sparks alarm, dims World Cup cheer in India. An earthquake causes minor damage in southeastern Indonesia. That ends World News.
Development News.
The proposed two-flyover project at Kompanvidya in Colombo 2 is taking place. The construction of ongoing flyover will span two central intersections at Kompanvidya and the coastal line, which is one of the busiest railway tracks leading into the city, thereby easing heavy traffic congestion leading to Colombo Central Business District. Otracon is conducting the heavy lifting and erection work of 225-ton box girders of the 40-meter length and 4.7-meter width using the single truss launcher at Uttaranandamauth. That came to you on Development News. Sri Lanka won the toss and elected to bowl first against India in match 33 of 48 in the ICC Men's. Sri Lanka won the toss and elected to bowl first against India in match 33 of 48 in the ICC Men's Cricket World Cup 2023. India was 352 at the loss of 6 wickets in 49 overs in a short while ago. India continued their ruthless march on the road to the 2023 World Cup semi-finals, and after wins over Australia, Pakistan, New Zealand, England, Bangladesh and Afghanistan, the men in blue have the opportunity to smash all permutations and combinations as they renew their battle against subcontinent rivals Sri Lanka. That came to you on Sports News.
Go ekakthiyana youth ekata life eke change ekata niyameta set wenna as wahagena dakapu gina habe karanna youth ekata niyameta set wenna friendship eka menna.
The all-new NSB Ithru account, NSB IAM, a plan for your dream.
Business News, sponsored by National Savings Bank, the safest place for your money.
Unity Plaza, the iconic commercial building in the heart of Colombo, has undergone a remarkable transformation, cementing its status as the country's ultimate one-stop shop for all IT requirements. This visionary trailblazing journey of renewal and innovation was spearheaded by Lanka Reality Investment PLC, subsequent to its acquisition of the 51% stake in Onelli Holdings PLC, the owner of the Unity Plaza, in 2020. Accordingly, the Unity Plaza stands today as a symbol of progress, a hub for technology and showcase for the immense potential of Sri Lanka's IT industry. That came to you on Business News.
Business News, sponsored by National Savings Bank, the safest place for your money.
Go ekakthiyana youth ekata life eke change ekata niyameta set wenna as wahagena dakapu gina habe karanna youth ekata niyameta set wenna friendship eka menna.
The all-new NSB Ithru account, NSB IAM, a plan for your dream.
Moving on to economic news. Two economists from Bloomberg, Messrs. Abhishek Gupta and Ankur Shukla, shared their views on the economic outlook of Sri Lanka at a cooperative event organized and hosted by the Commercial Bank of Ceylon recently as an activity of the bank's trade hub. Many distinguished invitees attended the event at King's Court, Cinnamon Lakeside. The two economists were joined by Commercial Bank's Chief Operating Officer, Mr. S. Pravakar, and Chief Finance Officer, Mr. Nandika Buddhipala, at a panel discussion that was part of the program. That came to you on Economic News.
Weather report.
Showers or thunder showers will look at several places in the most provinces of the island in the night. Heavy showers above 100 mm are likely at some places in the western, Sambalgama, central and Ubud provinces and in the Gol and Mathura districts. Showers will occur in coastal areas of the eastern province and in Hambantota districts during the morning too. Misty conditions can be expected at some places in the western, Sambalgama, central, north central and Ubud provinces during the morning. That ends weather report. To wrap up the evening news on Radio Sri Lanka, let's take a look at the headlines once again. The President commends Siet Kalani Tyre celebrating 25 years of success. The Prime Minister says issue of ownership of land should be settled. Focus on including private sector proposals for building the economy in the budget. License of 5 distilleries suspended. Indian Finance Minister visits Indian investments in Sri Lanka seized. Foreign news, political violence in Bangladesh casts dark shadow over upcoming elections. Sports news, World Cup 2023. India bowls 352 for 6 at the end of 49th over. Kohli falls for 88. Shreyas scores 50. With that, we wrap up the evening news on Radio Sri Lanka. Back to my friend and colleague, Mariela Vandot, on the other side of the glass panel.